Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Horde. My name's Ryujin383 and today we are doing one of my content ideas for Overwatch 2, which was to go through all the characters, if the series does well enough at least, ranking their legendary skins, because I have found a very deep appreciation for the stuff that I have access to in this game, because of how much time I spent not having all of my unlocks during the last couple months before Overwatch 2 came out, because I was a console player who lost access to said console and was not able to recover any of their stuff, so I didn't make an Overwatch account for a while, even though I had a PC for way before they released any of the Overwatch 2 betas or anything, or even said anything about them. So when I heard that they were, first of all, making betas, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm making an Overwatch 2 account, or at least an Overwatch account on here so I can play the Overwatch 2 betas. And then I also found out they were in fact going to add cross progression so I could get my stuff back, hence now why I have a ton of unlocks for everybody in general. So, because of my deep found appreciation for having all my stuff back, and it's also been making me reminisce about all the good old times of getting all these skins and stuff, I decided to do a skin ranking. So how this is going to work is I'm only covering legendary skins, because epic skins are almost never really that good. There are a couple that stand out for certain people, but a majority of the time they're just not as unique and as stylistically different compared to legendary skins. Now, if I do think that an epic skin is like good enough to be mentioned, of course I will use an honorable mention for it, and I probably will for everybody have at least one epic skin that I'm like, here's an honorable mention, because it's at least good enough to garner some sort of good looks. But it's going to stick to legendary skins only. And it's also just my personal opinion, okay? Let me reiterate that. It's my opinion. If there's a skin on here that I like more than you like, for example, don't give me hate for liking that skin more than another skin that I rank worse, you know? It's just my humble opinion on some of the skins of these characters. Now, we're going to be starting today's ranking with Zenyatta because he is my main, and I do own every single legendary for him. And I, in fact, had to re-record this entire video because by the time I had gotten it done, they added a new Zenyatta legendary to the store, and of course, because I'm a sucker, I went ahead and bought that too. So, let's dive right into this skin ranking video. Starting off with our honorable mentions, the only real honorable mention epic skin that I think is worthy to talk about is Zenyatta's Sunyatta skin, a Halloween-themed epic skin from the 2016 Halloween Terror event, or Junkenstein's Revenge. So basically, the only reason I feel this one is worth including is mostly because of the nostalgia, but the fact that overall it's generally a good Zenyatta skin, despite the fact that it looks pretty much exactly like base Zenyatta, but with a different color palette. But I do think that this painted-on skeleton design is a lot cooler than pretty much any of the other epic skins. A lot of them lose me because I just don't like the coloration or the general look they have. Like, Carbon Fiber has a weird face, and so does Subaquatic, and Harmonious and Ascendant are just base epic skins that I don't think are worth talking about. So, Sunyatta is generally a good skin, but not good enough for the rest of this list, and also it's not a legendary, so I'm not counting it for the actual list, but it is a good skin to have. Coming in at number 15, dead last, is the Sanzang Zenyatta skin from the Lunar New Year event. Now, I know this was his first ever Lunar New Year skin. In fact, it's probably one of his more classic and iconic ones, so I know this is probably going to be a lot more hate towards me for saying this, but I just don't really like the design of this skin that much. I think the thing that throws me off the most is the face. I can't get over the fact that he looks like an actual person, and it's kind of weird considering how pretty much every other skin he has doesn't try to make him look like a person. They try to make him look like a monster, or like some sort of like living object or something, you know? Or they just try to stick with the robot theme. And it just looks really out of place and bizarre for him to have like an actual human face on his head. I think the orbs themselves are also not that interesting. If we look at them real quick, they pretty much just look like wooden balls. And I feel like a lot of the other orbs are a lot more unique in their designs and have a lot cooler aspects to them. And another thing that I don't really like about Zenyatta's orbs is that a lot of the time they just use this blue ring here in between them, and they don't ever change the color of that ring, like hardly ever. And I just think that's really stupid because almost all the Zen orbs have this blue ring that could be changed to a different color to maybe better fit the orb, but they don't do that for Sanzang, and they don't do that for a lot of them. Overall, I just think it's a kind of weird design. I don't get the green things that flow down here. I don't really like the face that much at all. And overall, besides that, it's a pretty basic design. The only upside I do like is the fact that he has a little crown here that looks pretty cool. But other than that, it's not really one of my favorite skins, and I don't think I've even ever worn it. At number 14 on our list for the legendary skin ranking, I have put Djinnyatta as my least favorite base legendary Zenyatta skin, or a non-event legendary. So basically, this skin is not really my favorite for a couple reasons. One of which being the orbs themselves. Now, I do like the blue design they have on them, but the golden gun, when you equip it, if we go equip it real quickly, it pretty much just changes the weapon to look pretty basic. The gold weapon doesn't really do a whole lot for it, and it still keeps that whole blue background thing that doesn't really need to be there. On top of that, the skin, honestly, I think is just a worse counterpart to Ifrit, which is a skin I would rank way higher on this list than Djinnyatta as its other counterpart. I think that the red skin color design thing is a bit weird. I just don't like the coloration that well when you combine it with all this blue. I think it would look a lot cooler if it was like maybe a lighter shade of brown or something, or if it was like more like desert colored to kind of match the vibe, and maybe go with the pants a bit more and the shoes, maybe even make him gold. I just don't think that the base like armor color matches with a lot of this outfit. The number 13 spot on this list goes to the raw legendary outfit. And this skin is another situation like Djinnyatta, where its other counterpart I do like a lot more. I think that this skin has a lot of different colors, and it kind of clashes a bit to me. Like, I just don't like how there's so much blue on all these other parts. Like, I feel like if they kept it exclusive to the headdress, it would maybe work a lot more for me. On top of that, the orbs themselves just look really bad to me. I like the little blue gems in here, but all the little marks and scuffs and everything on here just kind of is an attempt to try to make it look more like weathered away and old, but it just kind of makes it look ugly to me. And then the gold gun doesn't really do a whole lot of favors for it either, because the gold gun just highlights all those little blemishes and dents and kind of just makes it look worse to me, in my opinion. So I'm just not a huge fan of it, and I think its other counterpart is also just way better. Coming in at number 12, we have Zenyatta's Fastball skin from the Summer Games event. Now, this is his only Summer Games skin, just kind of an oddball considering a lot of the other skins have multiple from across every event, and in fact, the Summer Games is the only event where he's gotten a single skin from before, so it's kind of a unique one out there. But overall, I don't really like the design of this skin a whole lot. I think its coolest aspect by far is the baseball orbs that he throws. The golden gun, however, tends to make them look pretty bad, because it gets rid of all those cool little details, and then the rings here really clash with the gold, and it just looks really awful. And I'm used to wearing the gold gun, so it just kind of clashes when I play Zenyatta. On top of that, I think that the other thing that throws me off, kind of like what was going on with the Sanzang skin, is the face. I can't exactly tell what they're trying to do with his face. It looks like they were trying to add like one of those like pitcher or catcher masks. I don't watch baseball, I'm sorry. But the umpire, the guy who sits behind the baseball hitter guy, I don't know, I'm sorry. But it looks like they were trying to give him that mask, but then also try to like give his face like a pit viper glasses or whatever, and it just looks weird. And then when you're looking at him dead on, it looks like the two eye spots there, and it just really looks weird when you're looking at it. And then from the back, it looks pretty good. Like, I like this whole thing, but when you turn it around and look at his face, I don't like it that much. And so that's why it's so low for me on this list. Number 11 on this list goes to the Zhuhe Liang skin for the Lunar New Year event. Now, this kind of has a similar situation to Sanzang, where they try to make the face look really human, but the difference here is that I think they took what was bad about Sanzang, dropped it a bit, so it looks better, but then they still kind of made it worse by giving him, like, actual hair. It just really throws off his whole robot vibe. I think the rest of the design is pretty decent, although I don't think I'm a big fan of the hat he's got on, because whereas the crown with Sanzang looks more regal and actually like a cool little crown, this one just kind of looks like it just really is not appealing to me, and I don't quite know why. Just when I look at it, I'm not a big fan of it. I think this spike thing sticking through it is kind of unnecessary. If you just kept it without the spike, I would maybe like it more. So maybe that's what I find wrong with it. I'm not entirely sure. Then the orbs themselves are probably my least favorite part about this skin, because they look really opaque, which is cool, but they still keep that ugly blue aspect of the like inner part of the orb being blue, when even though almost every time you throw the orbs, they turn gold or purple, and when you emote with them, they almost always turn gold or purple. So it just kind of feels a bit weird to have them still be blue. And then the actual ring around it holding them together, it just looks really bad to me. It just looks out of place, and it doesn't have a cool, neat little design on it. And then the gold weapon doesn't make it look any better, because if we look at the gold weapon, it just kind of looks the same, to be honest. Like, the light hitting the orb feels the exact same as when I was looking at it at the default. The only difference is it's like slightly shinier, but it's not really that good, and I think the skin is definitely leagues better than Sanzang, but still definitely not one of my favorite skins. And at the number 10 spot, so starting the area of skins I like to call tolerable, is the Sunyatta legendary skin. This is another one of his base legendaries that is non-event skins that you can buy with legacy currency and stuff. But I definitely think this is better than his raw counterpart, because one of the things I like about Zenyatta's designs is that he's a monk, he's a peaceful guy typically, he's a pacifist, he is enlightened, so he's generally considered a morally good character. So when the designs try to make him look a bit more sinister or evil and kind of counter that whole aspect of his character, I think that's a really cool design choice that the Blizzard team made. And so this is one of those skins that starts to dive into those like darker theme skins, and it's also just a cooler design than raw. I think that the colors actually are on point here, whereas with raw they were kind of all over the place and the blue was just kind of put in random spots. This makes him look more like a bird and a robot, and they keep all the colors in different spots so that you can actually kind of see a good design there. And then the basic orbs themselves, while they still have that whole corrupted and like old elderly pattern on here to make them look scuffed, and that part is weird, the gold gun still at least looks a lot better, because on this one, for some reason, you don't really tend to notice the scuff marks as much, And also, I think the red design on the little gems is a lot cooler because they look kind of like miniature eyeballs and stuff, which will come into play in some other skins later on this list. But yeah, Sunyatta is leagues better than the raw skin. It has that cool like play on his character that I like in some of the skins, and the coloration actually looks solid compared to raw. Sliding on in at number 9 on this list is the latest Zenyatta skin that you have to buy from the store, but matches this season's theme of Cyberpunk, the Cybermonk legendary Zenyatta skin. Now, this is definitely not one of my favorite skins, but it is one that I would think is okay. I don't really like certain things about it. First of all, being the face again. It looks like he's wearing a VR headset, and it looks very, very dumb. On top of that, I have no idea what's going on with the hat on his head. Second off, the orbs. I think the design is cool, but it looks really stupid when they have this knockoff Parsec logo on them. That just it makes it look worse, in my opinion. The gold gun doesn't make it look a whole lot better, but it is definitely considerably better. On top of that, the other thing I don't really like is the pants. The fact that they're just like bright red, to me, throws off the vibe of the skin. If they had kept them yellow and matched the jacket and the headset and the shoes and every other part of this design, it would have looked a lot better in my opinion. But overall, I do like this cyberpunk take on Zenyatta. It just has a lot of problems that lower it on this list for me, but it still keeps it a bit higher than I think some of these other skins that I have more issues with. And finally, the last of the non-event Zenyatta skins is the Ifrit Zenyatta Legendary skin, my favorite of the base Legendary outfits for Zenyatta. I think this design is really cool. It matches the vibe that Sunyatta brought, where it tries to kind of make him look a bit more evil or sinister. I think the one thing that makes this design not that good, and would have made it so much more perfect, was if the background color of the orbs wasn't blue, like it is on almost everything, but instead was like a dark red or scarlet red that matches the rest of the red on this screen here. Or skin here, sorry. I think the other thing that throws me off of it is that when you have the gold gun equipped, you cannot tell the difference between the Orb of Destructions for Djinnyatta or Ifrit. Like, they look the exact same. And even Ra and Sunyatta had that thing where they looked either blue or red, and it still matched, which I think they should have kept with that with Ifrit and Djinnyatta, but unfortunately they don't. So the weapons look the exact same when you have the gold gun on. Overall, I think it's a solid design. I think the one thing they could change, really, is the orb color being more red, and maybe this back color piece of cloth here, a different color too. I don't know what I would change it to. Maybe like a black color to kind of match the rest of this. But overall, it's a good skin. Not one of my favorites because there are still things dragging it down, but definitely the best of his base legendary outfits. Number 7 on this list goes to none other than the Toybot legendary skin, his later introduced Winter Wonderland outfit for the winter event. Now, I think this skin is genuinely one of his most unique designs that he has, so that's why it's really up here for me, and the orb itself is also incredibly unique, but the biggest problem I have with this skin is the orb. While I do think it's very cool and like a play on like a child's toy to match the Christmas theme and the Christmas aspect of it, I just don't really like how this orb is put together. It doesn't really mesh that well with me. I don't really like the silver like casing around it. It just kind of feels out of place for it, you know? And the gold gun doesn't really make it a whole lot better in my opinion, because it kind of just like makes the silver like part way more obvious, and it also changes the individual colors here in between the spaces of the little notches, whereas on the default they are colored in to match this. If they had left these colors in the middle here for these when you have the gold gun equipped, I think it would probably look better, but it's still not that good in my opinion. On top of that, the only other real problems I have with this skin is this random green thing floating down his back. Like, I get that a lot of his skins have some sort of, like, covering thing, like cloth that falls and drapes around him to try to, like, capture his monk aspect, but I think they could have just kept the bow, and it would have looked a lot better, in my opinion. The only other thing that I have a problem with, really, is the chest piece looks kind of weird, in my opinion. You can't really, but the good news is you can't really see it that well because the orbs cover it when you're in-game, so it's not like it's a big issue, but it's still a really good skin. But I do think there are some that are a lot better, which is why it's just still in this tolerable range and not a lot higher. But it still is one of the better Zenyatta skins.
This is a certified hood classic.
Okay, now this was the one that I had to make a really tough choice on, but at number 6, just barely avoiding the amazing category of the top 5, is the Cultist Zenyatta skin. The only reason this got dropped down from my top 5 based on my original ranking was that the addition of Cybermonk made me go back and reevaluate all the skins and the issues I had with them, and made me change the list up a bit, and it made me realize that there are some skins that I actually like more than Cultist in this ranking. And it honestly pains me because I really do like this skin, but the recolor, in my opinion, is a lot better, and the overall skin is still pretty cool, though. It was his first Halloween event legendary. It's technically his only one, but he has a recolor that matches it, even though it's an anniversary skin, so it's kind of like he still has 2 Halloween skins. This skin is really cool because it is like definitely one of the most unique designs he has. It's got a really cool Halloween vibe with him looking like Cthulhu. On top of that, the purple and the darker colors really mesh well together, and it's probably one of his best skins that captures that sinister play on his character that's normally a morally and, like, enlightened robot. On top of that, the orbs themselves are really cool with the whole eyeball being in the center, and they actually look incredibly good with that eyeball in the center, and this like rusting metal keeping them closed honestly fits the vibe really well, and it's probably one of his best orb designs. I think the one thing that kind of made me reevaluate this skin's position, I forgot to equip it, my bad, I'm so sorry, I thought I had it equipped. So we could look at the gold gun real quickly. The gold gun just, like, it looks pretty good, it looks awesome, but then when you look at the actual skin, the gold just really clashes with the design, and the rusting metal looks a lot better on this skin than it does with the golden gun being equipped. The other cool thing with this skin and with the recolor is that they changed certain voice lines that play, and I can play those for you now.
Peace and blessings be upon you all.
Okay, well, I think maybe it only does them in-game, which is unfortunate, but the voice lines, peace and blessings, and the iris embraces you are replaced when you use them in-game. Peace and blessings will say curses and madness be upon you today. And then the other one is the iris consumes you, which I think is really cool that they have these little like niche Easter eggs for this skin. Overall, it's still a really good skin, and it pains me that it's not in the top 5 anymore now that I reevaluated my ranking. But I think the recolor's better, in my opinion, and you'll see why when we get to that. And I think, looking back, there are some other skins that I liked more. And coming in and kicking off the top 5 of this skin ranking, the amazing category of skins is the, sorry, I'm having a brain fart, anniversary skin for Zenyatta, Huitzilopochtli. I can't really pronounce that well, and I don't know why I used an accent there and used another one there. Holy shit, I'm kind of losing it. Anyways, I do really like this skin, and that is why it's starting off the top 5 of this list. The whole design where he looks like some sort of ancient golem is really, really cool. The orbs themselves being to look like a lot of stone, and they also almost entirely cover this shitty blue inside design that they have for a lot of them, is really cool. And also the designs match that whole Aztec, Mayan, Inca, ancient South American civilization vibe that I really think is cool. The headdress looks awesome. The face isn't trying to look too human, and is in fact trying to look more like a statue, which I think works really well and doesn't try to like compromise the whole face change look that I don't like that much. The ankles are also really cool. Like, I like this little addition here that kind of keeps with his vibe. And also from the back, he's got a dagger here that just sits there, which I think is really cool. Overall, it's just one of his best skins by far, and it's just a solid legendary outfit to wear. Coming in at number 4 on this list, another one of Zenyatta's more recent skins, is the Overwatch League exclusive Clockwork legendary outfit. Now, this skin looks pretty good in my opinion, generally speaking. It does try to make that whole human face look, but also at the same time it makes him look more like an automaton, or like still like a statue with the beard. And overall, it's a pretty solid design. I think the belt buckle, like moving like an actual gear, is really cool, and also it just has a really nice like acolyte look to it. But the thing that really brings this skin up so high on this list, because the actual design itself is pretty basic in my opinion, but the thing that drags it up so damn high is the orb design. This looks so cool, and it honestly makes me ignore the whole blue middle center ring because of all these infinity symbols that make every orb like stand out so damn much. It's such a cool orb design, and it's probably his best orb design in my opinion. And also the gold gun just makes it look so much cooler and just really enunciates the like little infinity symbols there. And when you just have it on in his base and he's just sitting there, you can't really even tell it's that different from the original default orb design, but it still looks so much better, and it just also makes him look brighter. But in my opinion, that's the only real reason why it's so high on this list, is the fact that it's probably his best orb design yet. Compared to the other skins that are a bit higher on this list than it, that I think are good in terms of multiple design facets and not just the orbs themselves. So that's why it's up here. It's got good orbs. Other than that, it's got a okay, pretty solid design, but not one that I'm super fond of. At number 3 on this list is honestly one of the goofiest and funniest skins, but also one of the most iconic and probably best designs he has, his Nutcracker legendary from the Winter Wonderland event. Now, this skin is honestly so cool in my opinion, and it's also just really fun and just a blast to wear. He looks so much like the actual Nutcracker that it's honestly really funny. The orbs themselves just being straight up walnuts is also just hilarious to me. And also the face just looks really stupid, but it's stupid in a good way. This one, it's still trying to make it look kind of human, but the fact that it's like playing on the fact that it's looking human because it's a Nutcracker that's supposed to look like a human, but also not at the same time, also just makes it really funny to me. I think it's a cool skin, it's a classic, it's one of his best event skins, and that's why I have put it so high up on this list. It's just a blast, and I think it's honestly one of the best designs he's been given. And the number 2 spot on this list goes to the other Overwatch League exclusive skin, This is the all-star skin that got designed for Overwatch League player Zen-Nakji a couple years back, the Zen-Nakji legendary skin. I think this design is super cool, and the all-star skins always get to basically go to a person on the Overwatch League. Just absolutely blew the league away, that they were like, hey, come and design a skin for us to celebrate your accomplishments. So he got to work with the Blizzard design team and go in and help make this skin. And I think it's definitely one of the best skins in this game. I think that it really matches the New York Excelsior's colors and vibe, which I'm pretty sure is what Nakji's team was back when he was recommended for this all-star skin. So I think that's really cool. And I also think the coolest part about this skin is the fact that like his wiring or whatever is actually just tubes of water to keep this little squid guy alive. And then also the fact that the orbs themselves are just squids holding on to his orbs, and that they like pulse around and do all this stuff is also really funny. However, the one thing I don't like about it, the one thing that stops it from being perfect, is that the golden gun just doesn't match the rest of the skin itself. The gold gun is cool, and the fact that the squids turn pure gold is just also very funny, but it just doesn't match the rest of the skin, and it throws me off, and it still looks really good though. So that's why I have it here at number 2, which I think you know by now what this means as to what the number 1 skin is. So let's go right on into that one. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. What is my favorite Zenyatta legendary skin in Overwatch 2? It is none other than the Zealot Anniversary Remix skin for a recolor of the Cultist skin that we covered earlier. Now, this is my favorite skin by far. It took what Cultist had and made it so much better. The coloration on this is phenomenal. I love the white, teal, and gold. They just all come together so well, and teal is my favorite color. I use it for a lot of the things on this channel, including like when I add text onto the screen. I tend to make my own text when I'm speaking or something teal. It's my favorite color. So the fact that they implemented that into the design so much is so cool to me. The eyes themselves on the orbs being teal. It's got the gold chains, which make it look so much cooler compared to the basic gray that Cultist had. And on top of that, the orbs themselves get rid of that rust-looking design, although they still look kind of like old and dirty, which is still cool. But when you go and equip the golden gun on this skin, the orbs look so much better compared to what Cultist was like. This skin is perfect to me in every aspect. It has a really cool and unique design. The color scheme matches so incredibly well. It took what another skin had and made it so much better by adding all these different things. The gold gun matches the skin perfectly and just fits it really well. And this skin still has those little Easter eggs that Cultist did with the voice lines, which honestly is just another fun little thing that makes it a cool and fun skin to wear, which is why it is my favorite Zenyatta legendary skin. Hey, if you've made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you for watching this skin ranking video. I know that this is probably a weird type of Overwatch content to make, but I figured it would just be fun to at least try it. So if you guys do like this skin ranking video where I just sit down and talk about my opinions on these skins, let me know by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, or telling me in the comments below, and I will continue to make more of these skin ranking videos. And comment down below what character you would like to see me rank next, which is why I have this up so you can see all of them. I think this is a really cool idea, but it may not be everyone's favorite, so I'm just doing this to kind of test the waters a bit. But regardless, I hope to see you guys soon in another video, or maybe over on the stream, or maybe even on my TikTok videos. So, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.